Hello everyone and welcome to the video where I explain to you all the tips and tricks you can do to get the author times on the Spring 2021 campaign. Let's go, okay? This first video I'll go through the maps 1 to 5 and I'm gonna make another video where I go from 6 to 10 and so on until we finish the entire campaign. The purposes of this video, guys, is to give you guys the author times, right? So I'm not gonna show you guys all these crazy tricks and cuts that the world records do on all the maps. I can do a video about that if that's something that you guys want, and I can explain the tricks that they're doing. But since the purposes of this video is to give you guys the author times and the tricks that you can do to achieve that, some of the records or some of the times and the replays that we're gonna analyze are my replays. And even though there might be only top 500, top 100, whatever, they're more than enough to give you guys an overview on what you can do to get the author times. Also, another quick side note, I stream on Twitch, guys. Go ahead and check me out. Links in the description. Thank you very much. That's awesome. With that being said, let's jump right into map 01 and analyze that replay. Okay, so let's check out this first replay from Trapedia on map 01. This is the current world record. I'm gonna just show you the tricks that he did to get that time, okay? So we just start out, we watch the clip right here, okay? The first thing I'm gonna mention is here. Did you notice that? Let's run it back and let's do it in slow motion. What he did here is he did a small release right here. And the reason he did that small release is to land on this slope as fast as possible. Let's see it one more time, okay? Release and then land early. Now pay attention that he releases the gas before the jump starts. The second he goes off of the surface here, he starts accelerating again, okay? So make sure you release before the jump and then accelerate. Then you want to land as fast as possible, okay? The earlier you land, the more time your car has to build up speed from the acceleration on the road. Now, right here, you can see his skid marks has already started showing, and this means that he's pressed the brake button. What he does is he overlaps his skid marks around 50% all the way up until the last jump. Let's look at this. So you can see the overlap just about 50%, and he keeps this overlap all the way up until the last jump, and then he just jumps into the finish. Now I do want to tell you guys that overlap right here, this trick is called S4D, and it's actually super hard to pull off. If you're new to the game or if you just want the author medal, this is not needed. This is needed if you want a top 200 time or something in that region. So don't beat yourself up trying this out, okay? Well, with that being said, that's pretty much all there is to map 1. Okay, now let's check out the replay on map 02. This is driven by Fan to Mimo Jr. and it's the current world record. Now let's just take a look. Here in the beginning, all you want to do is you want to drive very close to the corners. It should be self-explanatory. Now here, what you want to do is you want to go super tight. You can actually go so tight that you touch this corner without losing speed, but just go as tight as possible. And right here, we see the reactor boost. Now this reactor boost is super important as it can give you what we call a soup, and it's probably what's gonna make you get that medal. Now the way you do it is right around here. Right around here you wanna tap that brake button. And if you tap that brake button right here, your car will start accelerating very fast. You can see his car accelerating very, very fast out of nowhere. And then you wanna land around this part of the grass, okay? Look at how this acceleration just goes on. Right when you land on the grass, what you want to try to do is try to overlap your tire marks again. Try to overlap them. This is because you need more speed, right? So let's just overlap those tire marks and go into the finish while still keeping them overlapped, okay? Let's take a look at it at full speed. And we go back here. We go super tight in this turn. He does an air brake right here, goes to the right, get a super fast boost, and tries to overlap the tire marks as much as he can. That is all there is to this map. Now this boost is super inconsistent, especially in the beginning when you start playing this map. So don't beat yourself up about not getting it immediately. You're gonna get it. Just keep trying to do it. Again, right about here, somewhere around here is where you want to press that brake button real fast, do that air brake, and then aim for this part of the track. Okay, that's all there is to it. Go practice it. Okay guys, now let's look at this replay from map 3. This replay is driven by me. It's not that fast of a time, it's like top 500-ish, but it's more than enough for you to get that author time that you're looking for. Now the reason we're not looking at the world record, which is driven by Riolo, by the way. Riolo is a fantastic player, a very nice person, and a fellow streamer. You should check him out. Is because his replay and his time is very, very hard to get. It has some really hard gear management to do, and it might be a little bit too much for me to explain to you guys, as that's not how you get the author medal. What it is, you're gonna get the author medal if you drive like that, but I don't think it's realistic for a bunch of new people to drive like that. That is really, really hard to do. That's why I settled for my own personal best time, in which I kind of drive like I think you guys are gonna be able to, or at least I'm gonna be able to explain to you the things that you can do to get the author time. Now, if we start off, I'm gonna go half speed. The reason I'm gonna go half speed is because it's easier to explain, okay? So right here, I gear up to third gear. Now, this is important because, as I've explained in my tutorial video, you're able to speed drift after you hit third gear. Speed drifting is where you overlap your tire marks just in the previous maps, okay? So you're gonna be able to do that right here. Now, I don't do it, which is kind of a mistake, but I didn't do it here. You're able to do it, just know you're able to do it. Now, please notice that I gear up to 5th gear here, okay? I gear up not 5th gear, 4th gear, but I'm gonna lose that gear once again. Now, you're able to actually maintain this gear throughout the entire map, and if you do that, you're gonna get a great time. But don't worry too much if you lose it, you're still gonna get your awesome medal. The most important part to see here is that after this turn right here, this turn is super important, because what I do after this turn is I do a very smooth steer. Now, I've explained the term smooth steering in my tutorial, so make sure to watch that if you haven't, if there's any of these words that are kind of you know, not known to you. But yeah, I smooth steer here to make sure that I don't drift. So you're gonna see that here. I don't drift because I turn slowly. Now, I gear up again. It's pretty important to notice that I gear up during the turn right here. And it's important to see that I gear up there, because I gear up while I drive pretty straight. If you gear up while you turn, or if you gear up while you drift, you're gonna lose a lot of speed. That is probably the main issue that I see people do on this map, is that they gear up while they're turning, and you're gonna lose a lot of speed to do that. So make sure that you gear up without turning. Now, for the author medal, you can choose to either gear up here, or you can gear up in this turn, right here, right after this turn. If you gear up here, that's fine also. It doesn't really matter, because you're still gonna get the author time, but it's slower. Okay, now, let's go back to here. I do a no drift, a smooth steer, and then right here, you can see I start drifting. It's because I've hit that 5th gear, and I'm able to speed drift. So I do a small wiggle on the dirt, like so, to just get that little bit of more speed, right? Now you just want to do this turn, not too tight, but that's fine. That's not the biggest time loss. Now the time loss is here. When you land, you can land and just immediately start drifting. Again, with overlapping your tire marks. That's gonna do the speed drift mechanic that we've talked about many times, and it's gonna increase your speed. Now, right there, you see, right here is when I gear up. I gear up from the previous gear to the next gear. You're gonna gear up somewhere on this line here. You're gonna gear up to the 5th gear. Again, really important that you're not SDing or speed drifting while you gear up, because it's gonna lose you a bunch of time. So make sure you keep track of your speed, and make sure that you don't gear up while you're turning. After you geared up, go ahead and do some more speed drifts into the finish line, and you should be able to get that author time that you're looking for. Right on to the next replay. Here we are on map 4. This again is my own replay and my own personal best time. It's in the top 400s, but it's more than enough for you to get that author medal. The reason we're not looking at the world record, which is driven by Otaris TM, is because he utilizes a cut that is at the very end of the track, which skips this last portion of the track. But it's super hard to get, and it's absolutely not necessary for you to get your author medal, author time. Now, if we look at have speed here, let's just take it from the start. The very first thing you want to do is you want to go to the right a little bit. The reason you want to go to the right is because you want to go in this turn without drifting too much. Here in this turn, you can maintain that fourth gear right here. You can get this fourth gear and you can maintain it, which I do, and I do this jump. Now, I do want to explain this, okay? If you get this gear right here, you can go and jump to the very left of these wobbly parts. And the reason you want to do that is because it gives you less airtime. You can see I barely get any airtime and I land right after those ripples. You want to land as early as possible. This is because the earlier you land, the more time your car has to accelerate. We've been over this 100 times. Now, when you land, you just want to drive to the very left side here. And you want to, once again, get as little airtime as possible. You can do a small air brake here or a small brake before you enter this turn. But if, whatever you do, I do a small brake, you can see. Whatever you do, you want to get as little airtime as possible. Right here, you can see I make sure that I don't drive straight. I overlap my tire marks to do that speed drift. Now, this part of the track is pretty straightforward. You just drive straight. But I do want to go back and just look at what I just explained again, okay? You want to go to the right in the start. You want to go to the right and then to the left to preserve speed, okay? Then you want to hit this jump, these jumps right here with as little airtime as possible. The more to the left that you jump, the smaller the airtime. Right here, you want to do a small release, either a small release or a small brake, to be able to get as little airtime here as possible and start the turn as soon as possible. Then I do a small speed drift right here just to get that extra speed for this no steer part, because you're just driving straight and the speed that you accumulated from that dirt part is going to go through the map here, okay? This part of the track is pretty self-explanatory. What you want to do is you want to go pretty tight to the turn. You want to drift as little as possible, but still drift enough that you're able to do that turn. You want to go pretty tight here. Avoid touching the walls. Now here, right here, you're able to maintain ground contact. I'm not gonna, you can do a wiggle and maintain ground contact. It's gonna save you a little bit of time, but it's not necessary for you to get to get the author time, okay? And for this last turn up here, you just want to make sure you go super tight. You can do a release, or you can do a brake, or you can do both. Just make sure you go super tight and then enter the goal line, okay? It's a pretty straightforward track. There's not a lot of different tricks. The main things that I want to tell you guys about is that you start on the right side, go to the left, do as little of an airtime here as possible. Get as much speed before this checkpoint as it will accumulate, and you're going to use that speed for this entire part. You go tight on this turn, and you go tight on this turn, okay? That's pretty much the entire track. There's no real gimmicks here. You're just going to have to practice it, and you're going to get it down. Here we are with the last map of the video, map 05. Now this map is, or this replay is again driven by me. It's around the 150 world range, more than enough to get your author time, of course. The world record is written by, or driven by Sam Gusta, and again he does some tricks that you don't actually need to do to get the author time. I do suggest that you all buy the club access so that you can race against these world record ghosts, so you can see what they're doing. But for the purposes of this video, of getting the author times, I'm just going to show you my replay. Now, let's go in and analyze what it is that I did to get the time that I have. So, first things first, you can drive the start pretty much as you wish. But here, the important part is I go pretty tight to this turn, and here, you can see this, right here. I almost immediately remove my my skid marks. I stop drifting as fast as possible. The reason I do that is because you lose speed from drifting like that. So I want to make sure that I stop drifting as fast as possible. Right here, this turn right here is pretty hard to do, but you're able to do it full speed as I'm doing in my replay. Now you want to start very left and then you want to turn probably a little bit sooner than you assume you're going to do it. But you can go full speed right here. You can also do a very, very small release if that's your cup of tea. That's also fine. Still enough to get the author time. Now what I do here is I go pretty wide. I go pretty wide on this turn, and the reason I go wide is because then I can go tight on this corner right here. This corner right here I go very tight on. Now there's a trick in this map that is very, hidden, and you won't notice unless somebody tells you. And the trick on this map right here is this booster. This booster right here actually slows you down. I don't know why it does it. Don't ask me why it does it. It's just a property of this booster. So what you want to do is you want to touch as little of this booster as possible, which explains why I'm taking very wide line to go super tight here. I'm trying to avoid as much of this booster as possible by hitting the very, very corner down here. Okay, I'm hoping you guys can see my mouse and where I'm pointing, but down here, the very corner is where I'm trying to aim. You're gonna try to aim at that corner with the highest amount of speed possible. Then you do the loop. The loop is gonna be completely fine. You don't really have to do anything special here. And when you go down here, when you get to this part of the map, if you maintain that 5th gear in the loop, you're gonna be able to speed drift right here. Again, overlap your tire marks, and you're gonna be able to just drive straight into the finish line. There's no real tricks here. When you drive up this wall and you're upside down, you can do a small wiggle to once again speed drift a little bit, but it's not necessary. So this map is pretty straightforward. You drive the track as it looks like you have to. The only trick here is that one booster where you want to make sure you touch as little of the booster as possible with as much speed as possible. So go wide this turn, go tight here, only just touch the corner of the boost, and you can drive into the finish line and get that author time for yourself. Okay, that was pretty much it for the entire video, guys. If you want me to go into more detail, you want me to put more things in the videos, or maybe you want more editing or something, let me know in the comments and I'll see what I can do for the next video. But for now, you guys better go follow me on Twitch. No, I'm kidding. For now, I'll see you guys. Thank you for watching, and yeah, have a good one. Bye-bye.